Hey guys, welcome to our first ever bonus episode. Pretty much when we met up with Isaiah and Carl, I think we talked for 2.5 or 3 hours, and I figured you guys probably didn't want to listen to us ramble for 2.5 to 3 hours. But some of the stories I cut out from the original episode were too ridiculous to not include in some way. If any of you listening to this know Isaiah and Carl, you probably listened to that episode and thought, well, they only went on a couple of tangents and not that many. No, there's a lot of tangents. So here they are, just out of context with a little introduction. This one is Carl talks about Google reviews.
And I got caught in that Chestnut Street train.
You did. That is the worst train ever.
Chestnut.
What, you taking a break? You having a nap? You're a train.
Can I talk about trains for a minute?
Let's talk about trains.
Yes.
And regulations. Let's go.
So this morning, I get notified whenever anybody leaves a Google review for Black Abbey.
Okay.
And so I got a Google review notification this morning, and it was a 4-star review, and it was the person didn't use their real name. They used a pseudonym.
Coward.
So just my first thought, and I'm like, all right, what about this person's experience prevented them from having a 5-star experience at our space? So I read it, and it says, delightful, hidden, off the beaten path tap room. Beers were really good. They have board games that you can play. They had a food truck that was really nice,
but
smelled a little bit like alcohol. So
What?
I'm giving you 4 stars.
No shit.
where do you think you are?
Yeah. So on the app, you can see their name, but you can't dig into their previous review. So I get on my computer because now I want to know. All
Yeah,
right,
of course.
who is this guy?
Time to get vindictive.
So a week ago, he left a review for another brewery that we're friendly with called Fate La Force.
Yeah.
And so super nice guys. They've been in business just over a year. Like they're just getting their feet under them.
They're doing a pretty good job, too.
They are.
Yeah.
Yes. I think their liquid is good. Their space is really cool. If it's very similar to us, they're a little bit off the beaten path.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm working ahead. Please continue.
Okay. So I read his review of his visit to Fate La Force that happened a week ago. And it said, this place had really good beer. It was really crowded and very busy. And I'm giving them 4 stars because the train noise really disrupted my experience. Like they're very close to the train.
Wow.
They're right next to the train. Yeah.
And I'm like, this
Sir,
guy,
you know that the critic in Ratatouille is the villain, right?
it just
Does he go to every restaurant in Wedgwood, Houston, and be like, "Yeah, there's too much construction"?
God, it's so good. It's so good, except...
You know what really makes me leave off 1 star on this review? Something that no one has any control over.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. The sun was too shiny.
I was in Greenville, South Carolina a couple days ago, where my oldest is a senior in high school, and so we're on the college visit tour rotation, going to places where she may or may not want to go. And so we were in Greenville, which 2 of our staff people are from Greenville, South Carolina.
2?
Yeah, Christina and Jake Ibarra.
Oh, I didn't know Jake's from Green. Anyway,
He
this
went
is
from-
very interesting for our listeners.
And so anyway, so Christina says, you should go check out this brewery called Fire Forge. And I said, all right, we'll go check it out. And so we go there, and I'm struck by the similarity to Black Abbey. It's kind of off the beaten path. It's fairly small tap room with what's obviously just a bunch of regulars that are sitting at the bar. The outside space is also the loading dock. So I know they got to move all the picnic tables and stuff out of the way when receiving comes and goes during the day. And
Boy, that's a pain.
and I'm sure it's a horrible pain. But the staff was super friendly. They were very attentive. The beers were really good. And so I did something that I never do.
You left a 1-star review.
It was a 1/2 star because it smelled like dog pee. No, it's not true at all. I went on and I left them a 5-star review. And I just thought to myself, you know what? For all the peckerheads that are out there in this world that are leaving substandard reviews for people who are breaking their backs trying to do a good job for people, I owe it to the community to leave a to leave a review that specifically calls out the things that I thought were good.
That's respect, man.
Yeah.
You know, I used to call the trucking companies that would say, "How's my driving?" And I'd call them, and they'd be like, "Hi," and I'd be like, "You know what? They're doing a good job. You know, they're checking their blind spots. You know, they're using signals. It's nice. They're not, they're not riding up on anybody. I just want to let them know that it's truck number 1075832.
They are probably not used to.
Give them a raise.
They're doing a great job. I
like-
just wanted to let you know.
I went on tour for 6 years. You had to make your own fun before the advent of the smartphone.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Were you stopping and calling these trucking companies from payphones?
Yeah, did you have a cell phone back then?
I had the Nokia brick.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
man.
Man, this is the year 2001. You could run that over with said truck.
Yeah.
It would be fine.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
The peep of
You know what?
phones.
God bless the Finns. Nokia's from Finland.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I thought that was
It
some
got
kind of
quiet
football
real
Most
fast.
of
We're like,
talking
what
to
are you talking about?
Isaiah is like, all right, is he going to explain himself or does he assume I know?
Half of my conversation is either explaining myself or not explaining myself and watching the chaos happen.
And then like
Sometimes that's beautiful.
10% apologizing. Maybe
10%.
10%.
For when I know that I've done wrong.
I mean, he's not Canadian.
He's not Canadian.
No. I'm Canada adjacent.
You are.
Yeah.
Me too.
Are you?
That's
Oh, you're
true.
from New York, aren't you?
Me
From
too.
upstate New York.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Up next, Carl talks about ice cream customer service.
I think they're. We were at some ice cream place in Travelers Rest,
Oh, yeah.
South Carolina, called Pink Mama. Pink Mama's ice cream, and
That feels a little dirty.
it. I think it was intended. I think that was intended.
Yeah.
So we roll into this place, and there's a lady who we walk in. It was a weird time. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon. So there was maybe one other person in there, one other adult with a toddler, and maybe not a toddler. So it was maybe a kindergartner. And so we're talking to this one lady, but there was two people behind the bar. I'm talking to, we're ordering our ice cream, and then this other person is talking to the lady with the toddler, and she's saying, well, I ordered this ice cream, but then it melted, and I was wondering if I could get more. And so it's back. They're having this sort of back and forth conversation. Come to find out, what had happened was she had ordered the ice cream, and then the kindergartner had to go to the bathroom, and so they left it on the counter,
Oh.
and they went into the bathroom, and it must have been
Some amount of time.
it must have been some time, because when they came back out, the ice cream had melted. So apparently, little Johnny really needed to, it was a cleanse.
Yeah.
Maybe there was an enema. I don't know.
Or maybe it was a strong negotiation on whether or not Johnny should wash his hands.
Or
When you take a kindergartner to the bathroom, it might be 20 minutes, it might be 5.
or it was
It could be anything.
He shit everywhere.
Maybe
It's on the
Could-
walls.
Yeah, could
Yeah,
be also that.
A real Christmas Adam experience
Yeah.
if you know anything about Black Abbey lore. But yeah.
So she's having this conversation, and then she says, "How can I get a hold of the Pink Mama?" And
Well, it's $30 an hour.
and the lady's like, "Well, her contact information is on the website, so you have to go to the website, and that's where all the contact information is. When's the next time she's going to be in here?" Well, she doesn't really come in here. She doesn't come in here? No. Well, who is the manager? Well, I'm the manager, but she's the owner, and she doesn't come in here because she's the owner.
Yeah.
And if you would like to contact her, the contact information, email, and phone number are on the website. And this poor girl, she's maybe college age, maybe not, maybe in high school. And I felt like she really kind of handled it. I should write her a nice Google
She
review.
said that
Yeah,
she
there
was
you
a
go.
manager.
Her Google review.
She was maybe the shift lead.
I mean, I'll take it though. That is a Dave Chappelle level masterclass move. Just be like, I am the manager.
But
The
anyway,
Kinkos.
it made me think, that's not the way that Black Abbey operates.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
At Black Abbey, the Pink Mama's in there all the time.
Oh yeah, and his name is Carl.
Can we call him Pink Mom?
Right? And
That is
I
your
think,
new name.
I think that my kids recognize that. I think they understand that's not everything operates the same way.
And now, for some reason, we talked about when we thought really old musicians would die.
Yeah, there's a lot of Pat Boone.
I'll tell you. Pat Boone,
Yeah.
musician in the 50s,
Oh, okay. All right.
60s. Still today.
60s.
I think Pat Boone is still alive.
Well, that's a testament to longevity, isn't it?
There's going to be a lot of very prominent musicians that very soon just age out. You know what I mean? Like
Paul,
they just
Paul
pass
Simon
away.
will never die. What are you talking about?
Yeah. I was I don't know about you, but we've been watching the basketball tournament here,
Yeah.
the NCAA tournament, and there's this commercial that's been running with Charles Barkley and
Samuel L. Jackson and Spike Lee.
Spike Lee,
Yeah.
but then also
Magic Johnson.
Nope,
What?
they're in the van and they're singing
Oh,
to each
yeah,
other.
yeah.
The lady who used to be married to Ben Affleck.
Jennifer Gardner.
Jennifer
Gardner.
Gardner is in this, and in this particular one, she starts singing "On the Road Again," and then on the CB radio, you hear Willie Nelson start singing "On the Road Again." The life I love is watching b-ball with my friends. There's no telling how much dear sweet Willie Nelson made for that lyrical change.
Yeah.
But Willie looks really old.
Oh, but he is really
Yeah.
old.
He
Yeah.
is. I mean, he's like 87
90?
something. I mean, he's old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he looks rode hard and put up wet, man.
Yeah.
Like this guy. And I just thought, man, it's only.
No,
about
I would
time.
say he's good for 90. I mean, like,
Oh yeah, all the weed that he.
yeah.
It prolongs life a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean,
But
here's
bet Pat
here's to
Boone's
hoping.
bad, too. Yeah. There's a lot of those musicians that are getting ready to age out, right? I mean, Bob Dylan,
Yeah.
Neil Young.
Yeah.
Jackson Brown got COVID, and I remember being like, "Oh, that's the end of him. He survived."
Have you guys ever heard of Bobby Bear?
Of course.
Okay, I did the landscape for his house. He's
Been around.
Yeah, this was 5 years ago, and he was, no offense to Jeannie Bear if she's out there, but that's his wife. He was basically gone at that time.
Yeah.
Man, he just had nothing behind his eyes.
He did one of my dad's favorite songs, "Drop Kick Me Jesus" through the goalposts.
Yeah, that is a good one, though.
Yep.
Through
Yep.
the goalposts of life.
Yep, end over end, neither left nor to right.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Straight through the heart of those righteous uprights.
Yeah.
Drop kick me, Jesus, through the goalpost.
And all of South Bend, Indiana said, yeah, that's our mascot.
That's true.
Oh, good old Bobby Bear.
And now we all talk about how we met our wives, and Isaiah continues to give more advice that we probably shouldn't follow. Most of the episode,
Like, all those dating apps like came around like after Chell and I got married.
Yeah.
Yep, I
But
never used
I'll
it.
still tell people that we met on Tinder just because it's a shorter, less complicated story.
Well, now I'm interested.
All right, man. Listen, Justin.
that's
I-
the
I'm
fourth
not-
episode.
I'm not going to get into it. I'll just say enough to say that I tell people all the time, my story is not advice.
It's not advice.
We can tell you what you've done, but it's more the roadmap of you probably shouldn't have done this.
I told her that we were going to get married on our first date.
Bold.
And she went, yeah. And I went, okay. That's not advice. It's a thing that happened. It worked out, and it worked out fine. But yeah.
Well, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is mostly how episodes go. Just kind of
Yeah.
hang out, talk for a while. Hopefully some of it makes sense.
Reasonable.
So far, there's some linear narrative here, I think.
Yeah. Well, the way that I met my wife
Uh-huh.
was through two gay guys that thought I was hot
Yeah.
at Three Crow Bar.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was hanging out Three Crow Bar with an old manager of mine. I worked at Bread and Company. If you
Yeah,
guys,
of course.
Yeah. So I was a manager at the West End, and she was as well. We reconnected, hanging out there, and then an all-gay kickball team comes rolling in.
Oh, sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know.
They do.
They play
Yeah.
in East Park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And two of them sat next to me because there was no other room, and we just started chatting. They started giving me drinks, trying to get me drunk, and thought I was cute. I was like, I'm going through a divorce.
Now, hold on a second, Justin. You are.
Oh,
But
thank you. I
continue.
appreciate it. Thank you. But
A couple of guys going bear hunting.
no,
They found the right mark.
They call me they call me an otter, by the way.
Oh, because you're too young?
I guess. I don't know.
You were too young, sir. You've aged into bear territory.
I'll have to remember that. Bear. I'm a bear now.
Right.
But no, then I was actually going through a divorce at that time, and they're like, "Well, we have a really cool friend that you might like." Showed me a picture of her on Facebook, and I was like, "Okay, I'm not going to be the cheeseball and say, well, give me your number." I handed my card over to them. Well, that's actually cheesy as well, but
Yeah,
and I
here,
said,
can you throw this away
well,
from me later?
Yeah.
I thought I didn't think anything of it. And 2 days later, she ended up calling me. I was so blackout drunk, I didn't remember the conversation. So
Yeah.
when she said, "Hey, my friend Nathaniel told me to call," it's like, who the hell is Nathaniel? And she just kept on giving me, and I was like, "Oh, wait a minute, it's that guy that was talking
Man, you
to me."
must have just been cute enough for her to be like, okay, I'll keep pushing.
Yeah, she did. Well, she had no idea that they had just met me 2 days ago. She thought it was like he had known me and
Old
so,
pals.
Oh yeah. So 30 minutes later, after she says, "Hey, I reached out to that guy," and he was like, "You're going out on a date with him later tonight?" Yeah. I only met him like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
So she texts back and says, "I just found out that like Nathaniel doesn't even know you." I'm like, "Yeah, I thought you were just bold and really forward and wanted to come hang out."
Yeah.
But she kept it up, kept
Hey.
the date, and then that was it.
That's funny.
I mean,
It was.
That's awesome.
who can explain why these things happen?
Heather and I met because we both went to Belmont at the same time, and we were in like Belmont fraternities and sororities.
Sure.
And there was a formal, and like everyone else was talking about who they're going with. And I was like, "How about if you go to mine, I go to yours?" And she was like, "Sure." And then I was like, "No." Like a week later, I was like, "Oh, I should probably actually like know any detail about you and like actually talk to you more than just like a random night." So that's how we met. Was
Wow,
like
man.
being sarcastically like, "Oh, you want to go to show this formal? Sure, I'll go to a formal with you." And then she kept talking to me, mostly because
She
of the
gave
love
you
of Chris Steele.
babies.
She gave me three.
Yeah, she
Three
did.
babies.
3 babies.
Yeah. And she still smiles.
She
when
does.
She sees you.
Not in the eyes, though.
Yeah. My wife and I had the
Well, you're not looking her in
same.
the eyes. How would you know?
Yeah, I'm like a foot and 4 inches taller than her. So,
eyes up here.
Yeah.
No, my wife and I met in marching band in college.
aw.
We were wearing the same jacket. We had the same winter jacket, and she walked up to me and said, "Hey,
It's kismet.
nice coat." That's true. That's 100% out of that.
Yeah,
cute.
I got to know my wife at a party where one of my friends was like, "Hey, I know that your feet really hurt and you're walking to work, so you can borrow my car for this month because I'm studying abroad." And she was like, "What's up with your feet?" And I was like, "You did not ask to hear this story, but I am about to tell you
I thought that was just every conversation with you.
about." That's how I open every
I can't believe
conversation.
you're going to do this on this show.
Do it.
No, I'm not telling the whole story.
Are you not? That sounded
They're
like
gonna
the way that was
lose
going.
listeners.
No.
All
Yes.
8 guys are going to be like, "We're done."
This isn't live. We have like 15 listeners.
Yeah,
okay.
give us more
I
credit
don't
than
know
that.
if they're
Come on.
consistent.
I didn't have any health insurance, but I had some pretty infected toenails, and so I
Oh
looked
my
at,
God.
I can't even believe it.
Gross.
It's not live. We can edit it all out later.
Forget about all right,
We're
you
putting
people
it in.
listening at home. Forget about episodes 3 and 4.
have
That
just-
offer was rescinded.
We're going to
Well.
have to invite just Carl back.
seeing as how half the listenership is probably married to us, I'll just spare you all the details. And just
Heather doesn't listen. She doesn't have time for that.
Chell also does not listen to my shows.
Aw.
But just to say that it's a gruesome story because I was very poor and very desperate, and I looked at a
attest.
friend of mine and was like, "You got a strong stomach?" And then I handed him like tools. I was like, "Can you help me?" Now that part wasn't so bad. Okay, it's just that I had no concept of like basic first aid, and so the next day is when I ended up in the emergency room.
Yeah.
So I tell her this whole story, and it is long and it is graphic, and yeah, she gave me a baby.
Later. Not like that. Not like 9 months after that
That day.
conversation.
Well, yeah,
It
that's
took some
true.
time.
That's true. But you do remember the part where, like, on the first date, she was like, "Yeah, we're getting married." And I was like, "All right,
Man.
okay,
I mean, if
well,
you're dealing with all of the disgustingness that I am, I'm here for it.
yeah, yeah." I mean, like everything that I said
That's
to her,
love, man. That's
everything
love.
that I said to her, I was like, "How is this flirting?" Like the most attractive thing that I think I could have said to her was, "Well, I don't live with my parents and I have a job."
She's also from the Midwest, so that also puts
Well,
you
that's
above
true.
most people.
That's true. Yeah. And who knows? Now, getting back to like, our wives being the people behind the success of our ventures, it
Both
was
success and ventures are in air quotes.
when dining rooms opened in 2020 for the first time. we went to one of our favorite places to visit, the 12 South Tap Room and Grill.
Yeah.
And a bunch of beer reps go there every Tuesday because it's 2-for-1 beers, and we know how to work the system. So we showed up, and we all sat at a table, like this very long table, spaced out appropriately. And somebody says, "It's been so long since we've been able to see each other. Would somebody want to give a toast?" And so I raised my glass, and I said, "To our wives and partners for being more successful than us so that we can have these jobs." And every single person raised their glass and said, "Here, here." Yeah.
That is the universal story of the alcoholic beverage industry.
Is it seriously?
At least in beer. Like I think there are liquor reps and people who work on the liquor side that make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
And I think I've never done that, so I don't know, but I assume
You can make some money.
maybe. Yeah.
No, you can make some money.
But
Somebody tried to hire me for 6 figures.
Oh.
See, you can make some money.
Yeah, I didn't want to do
Did he just now find that out?
I thought I told you.
This
that.
isn't
You told me that.
Isaiah. This isn't how you negotiate a raise.
I'm like, is this
Every
this
raise Carl's ever
news?
given me, I've gone, wait, why?
You want more of this?
How are you rewarding me?
Carl and Isaiah talk about the most famous people I've met in the tap room, and then we talk about teenager jokes.
Because plenty of people have come into the tap room and we've not known until later. Like, oh, that was so-and-so?
Yeah.
Huh.
That happened at
who's the most famous?
that's coming to our tap room.
Yeah. Or who
Are you saying
who are
by-
you most excited
Yeah,
about?
yeah.
That,
Well,
that's a
saying
better
no, those are
question.
No, those are
Standards of
two
famous.
questions.
Yeah.
Those
Okay.
are two different
Okay.
questions. Now, the most famous person that's coming to the tap room, to my knowledge, was probably Lee Nash from
Lee
Sixpence
Nash,
None the
yep.
Roadster. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably right.
Yeah. She was in the bag.
She
And-
was intoxicated. It
And
was hilarious.
I didn't serve her second beer. I was like, I can
Yeah.
get you some water.
Aw.
Well, hey, I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was the guy who played guitar for them too was in there.
Oh yeah, Matt Slocum.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
He's a nice fellow. He was nice. That's right.
Yeah.
But
And it's interesting because I remember I had this conversation with Christian, who's the owner of Tennessee Brew Works, shortly after they had some kind of event down there where Lou Ferrigno showed up.
Oh.
right? Like,
Yeah, heck
the
yeah.
Incredible
The
Hulk.
Hulk.
Man
Hulk,
himself.
yeah. And I'm like, man, how cool is that?
Yeah.
right?
Heck
Like,
yeah.
Lou Ferrigno is in your tap room, and that
Back when it
seems-
was David Banner.
yes, like
Yeah.
that seems like a pretty obscure famous person. Like there've probably been more famous people that have come through Tennessee Brew Works since
Yeah.
that time. But I can't look back and say, oh well, Dolly Parton came rolling through.
No, but her
or whatever.
sister did.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
Stella Parton came in.
she did.
Yeah.
yeah, she sure did. That was really strange.
It was a really strange.
Where
did.
where did I meet that guy?
There are a lot of it was Grapevine Wine and Spirits
Sure
in Cool
was.
Springs.
I did a sampling at Grapevine Wine and Spirits, and the guy was working the door, like
Yeah.
letting carding people.
The
and
best
whatever.
way that we can describe him is a shyster.
grifter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's like, I mean, I got my guitar out in my car. Like, I could come by the tap room. I could play some songs, and I'm like, okay, whatever you want. And you were working in the tap room.
Yeah,
at
we
that,
were
weren't you?
months old as a business.
Yes, and this guy comes in.
He played the same 3 songs over and over.
and
Were they good?
Stella
Yeah,
Parton.
yeah, he was really good at 3 songs. And Stella Parton's sitting there just going like, well, that's just great. And I'm like, it's just great. It's barely great.
It was
It's
so strange.
This is weird.
awesome.
Like, we closed 20 minutes ago. Can you please leave?
But at least if you played the same 3 songs, you knew whenever he would end because you knew which 2 songs came next.
My favorite part is how he would finish the song and look around to make sure that everybody knew that it was time to clap.
Oh my god!
The
Kinda like
awkwardness.
when my middle child is 5 and I feel like she'll tell a joke and be like, "This is when you respond now."
Is that
Yeah.
so? That's
She
even
doesn't
funnier.
say it, but she kind of has that look in her eyes of like, "I said a joke," and you're like, "Ha ha 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 ha."
It's true. It's true. That was the punchline. I don't know if you were aware from my tone.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Cece's been doing that too. That's what we call Seattle Cece for short. She's gotten into telling jokes,
Yeah.
but like it's the same structure
Yeah.
for every joke. And the best part is how she will set it up and then pause for an extraordinary amount of time while she thinks of a punchline. Why did the stinky squirrel, it's always a stinky something. Why did the stinky squirrel run up the tree? I don't know, baby. Why did the stinky squirrel run up the tree? Because she didn't have shoes. And I'm just like, that's a good joke.
That's good.
Yay, you know what?
Nailed it.
It's all about timing.
No, that's fine because mine are teenagers. So the jokes now are, hey, have you met Bofa?
No,
You haven't met Bofa?
I haven't met Bofa.
You should ask something like
No.
Who's
He's
Bofa?
too smart for that, though.
Bofa D's nuts.
Oh,
Hey,
That's
Carl,
all the
do you want 2 CDs for free?
Sure.
To see these nuts.
Yeah, I like it. Yep. Yeah. That's We're so deep into the D's nuts jokes.
D's nuts.
And finally, Carl talks about when he helped one of his daughters with their project about the solar system.
When
We'll see.
When Maggie was in, I don't know, maybe first or second grade, we're at the Covenant School, and she had to make a diorama of the solar system, as
This
is
great.
very
What a
common,
great story.
right? It's very common, right? We're doing solar system, we're doing whatever, yeah. And so we did just like you do, like we got a box and we painted the inside black. And then we got one of those things at Home Depot, like those little lights that you stick in your closet that doesn't have a light in it.
Yeah.
And you click it, and that was the sun, and we mounted it on the side. And then we went to Michael's and bought some fish line and some wooden balls, and we painted them. And then we had to, like, you got to drill a hole in it to put the fish line through it, and we hung it in the diorama. And so, so we did Mercury, and we did Venus, and we did Earth, and we did all the way up. And then we got to this blue one, almost to the end, Uranus.
Yeah.
Uranus.
Yeah. And
Uranus.
and so, like, we're sitting in the garage, and Sally's holding the thing, and I've got the drill, and I'm like, hold Uranus still while I'm drilling it. Stop moving Uranus. I'm trying to drill it. And Sally's like, I'm going to kill you. Because none of the kids know anything. Like, they're just like, I don't know.
Okay.
And so I'm just like, stop moving it. Anyway, so we hang it in there. And we're taking it into school. At some point, they realize, like, at some point, Maggie puts it together. But we're walking in, and she's got her bag and her other stuff. And so
She's
I'm
like
walking
7, right? Like
maybe like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
And I'm holding the diorama. And so we're walking in, and she's got to stop at her locker, and she's got to put her stuff up. And the other kids are like, oh, your diorama's right. And I said, yeah, what's really nice about this? Uranus. You should look at Uranus. And the kids are all like,
Yeah.
and so we're in the hallway before we get to the classroom. This other mom turns around and she goes, at our house, we say Uranus. I'm like,
How often does this come up in your house?
I'm like, well, at your house, you're wrong because this is Uranus. Anyway, so we get to the door of the classroom. Maggie walks up. I'm right behind her, and she stops at the threshold of the classroom, and she turns around and she goes and points at me with one finger and says, do not embarrass me. I was like, okay, my job here is done.
I've done it. That's awesome.
That is a great story.
So there you have it. There's our first ever bonus content episode. If something like this you thought was fun and kind of ridiculous to listen to, shoot us a message on Instagram or contact us in some way and let me know, because there's always some stuff I take out of the episode, and if it's worth it, I'd probably do more of these. But let us know if it's something you think is fun, and thank you so much for listening.